In the last video, we saw the concept of a basis. Now it is natural to ask whether a given vector space has a basis or not. If a vector space has a basis, as the basis is a finite list of vectors, it is clear that there exist finitely many vectors that span the vector space. Therefore, to have a basis, we want our vector space to be finite dimensional. Therefore, we can rephrase our question as, does every finite dimensional vector space have a basis? To answer this question, let us first recall what we know about a finite dimensional vector space. If V is a finite dimensional vector space, then there exists a finite set of vectors that span V. Let these finite set of vectors be V1, V2, etc. up to Vn. The most natural question now is, does the list V1 to Vn form a basis? The answer in general is no. Why? Because V1 to Vn need not be linearly independent. So this is the problem. However, this formulation is not very useful. Given that the set V1 to Vn spans V, we recall from our previous discussions that V1 to Vn are linearly independent if and only if the set V1 to Vn is a minimal spanning set. So now the question is the set a minimal spanning set or not? If the set V1 to Vn is a minimal spanning set, then we already saw that the list V1 to Vn forms a basis. Therefore, we should be looking at the case when the set V1 to Vn is not a minimal spanning set. If this is the case, then there exists Vi1, Vi2, etc. up to Vik, where I1, I2, Ik, etc. are numbers such that 1 is less than or equal to I1, is strictly less than I2, is strictly less than I3, etc. up to Ik, and Ik is less than or equal to n. So these are k numbers between 1 and n, such that we have k such vectors Vi1 to Vik such that Vi1, Vi2, etc. up to Vik spans V. Now we denote these vectors in a slightly different manner. We denote Vi1 as V11, Vi2 as V12, etc. up to Vik as V1K1. Notice that we have replaced k with k1. That's something which we have done. It's because I want to now repeat this process. Notice that k1 is strictly less than n. Now once again there are two possibilities. Either the set V11, V12, etc. up to V1K1 is a minimal spanning set, or it is not a minimal spanning set. If it is a minimal spanning set, then we are done. Why are we done? Because then observe that the list V11, etc. up to V1K1 is a basis. So once again, the interesting case is when this is not a minimal spanning set. If not, there exists a further subset of V11, V12, etc. up to V1K1, and the subset we are denoting as V21, V22, etc. up to V2K2. And this subset is such that it spans the vector space V. Now notice that K2 is strictly less than k1 and k1 was strictly less than n. And as at each stage the number is getting smaller and smaller, the number of vectors in the list is getting smaller and smaller, sooner or later we will end up with a minimal spanning set. And thus we have the following theorem. Given any spanning set V1 to Vn, we can find a subset of V1 to Vn, let that be Vi1 etc. up to Vik, such that the list Vi1 to Vik forms a basis. In other words, given any list that spans the vector space V, we can reduce it to form a list that spans. And how did we do this? Given any spanning set, we saw that there are only two possibilities. Either it's minimal or it's not minimal. If it's not minimal, then there is a smaller spanning set. If that is not minimal, there is a further smaller set, etc. And this process has to stop at some point, because at max there will be n stages in between. And thus, starting with a spanning set, we can throw away some of the vectors to obtain a minimal spanning set. And we take this minimal spanning set and order them as a list. That would be our basis. Now notice that given any finite dimensional vector space, there will be a finite set that spans it. And once we have a finite spanning set, we can reduce that to form a basis. That was the previous theorem. Thus, we see that every finite dimensional vector space will have a basis. Thus, we have answered the question we asked in the beginning of this video. We saw that we can construct a basis from a list of vectors that span a vector space by throwing away some of the vectors if needed. We will now show that given a finite dimensional vector space V, any list of linearly independent vectors can be extended to form a basis. Now notice that it is easy to construct a list of linearly independent vectors. We know that any non-zero vector is linearly independent. Thus, a single vector V which is not equal to 0 is a linearly independent list of vectors. And we can extend that to form a basis. Thus, Theorem 3 would give another proof of the fact that every finite dimensional vector space has a basis. Let us now look at a proof of Theorem 3. Notice that V is a finite dimensional vector space implies that there exists a list of vectors W1, W2, etc. up to Wn that spans the vector space V. Now, let us take an arbitrary list of linearly independent vectors. Let V1, V2, etc. up to Vm be linearly independent. We will show that we can extend this list V1 to Vm to form a basis. And we will do this by adding some of the elements in the list W1 to Wn. Let us see how this can be done. As the first step, we verify whether W1 belongs to the span of the vectors V1 to Vm. If W1 belongs to the span, then we define V to be equal to V1 to Vm. On the other hand, if W1 does not belong to the span of vectors V1 to Vm, then we define V to be equal to V1 to Vm, W1. That means we have added W1 to the list. Now we want to show that this new list V1 to Vm, W1 is linearly independent. Suppose there exists constants a1, a2, a3, etc. up to am and b1 such that a1 v1 plus a2 v2 plus etc. up to am vm plus b1 w1 is equal to 0. Notice that if b1 is equal to 0, then we automatically have all the other ai's to be equal to 0. Why? Because we know that the vectors v1 to vm are linearly independent. Therefore, we may assume that b1 is not equal to 0. But if b1 is not equal to 0, then we can rewrite w1 is equal to minus a1 by b1 into v1 plus minus a2 by b1 into v2 plus etc. up to minus am by b1 into vm. Which means that w1 belongs to the span of the vectors v1 to vm. But we added w1 under the assumption that w1 does not belong to the span. So that is a contradiction. In other words, the assumption that b1 is not equal to 0 leads to a contradiction, which implies that b1 has to be equal to 0. And we already saw that as soon as b1 is equal to 0, all the ai's are also equal to 0. Thus, we understand that if we follow this procedure, that means if we take a list of linearly independent vectors and add another vector that do not belong to the span, then the new list is also going to be linearly independent. And we are going to continue this process. In other words, we will check whether w2 belongs to the span of b, which is the current list of vectors. If it belongs to the span, then we will not add w2. Otherwise, we will add w2. Then we will go to w3 and so on. More generally, in the ith stage, that means we will check whether wi belongs to the span of the list that we have at that time. And if it belongs to the span, we leave the list unchanged. If it does not belong, then we add that to the list. Let me repeat. If wi belongs to span of b, then we leave b unchanged. On the other hand, if wi does not belong to span of b, then we add wi to the list. And notice that we are adding to the right. That means wi would be the rightmost element in b at this point. Now notice that after each step, our b is linearly independent. Why is this true? This is because of the argument that we gave earlier. The exact same argument can be used at each step. Moreover, notice that after step n, span of b is equal to span of w1 to wn. But notice that span of w1 to wn is the vector space V. In other words, span of B is equal to the vector space B. But B is also linearly independent. Thus, B is a basis. Thus, we have constructed a basis starting from the list of linearly independent vectors. And that completes our proof.